Hey everyone, welcome back. It's JT and welcome to JT Talks Jobs. This is the show that teaches you everything that school didn't about job search and career growth. And today we're going to be talking about megatrends. That's right, 24 megatrends to be exact that are going to dominate in 2020 and beyond, all as a result of this crazy thing that we've going on in the world today. So I'm really excited to get into this because, there's a lot of negativity and a lot of stress and anxiety and uncertainty. So I thought, you know what, we're going to show people what the future looks like and where the opportunities lie. Because what I hope you get out of today's session through these 24 megatrends is that there's going to be incredible opportunities. There's going to be innovation and ways for you to pivot your career, change your life. And we'll talk a lot more about that in a second. So very excited about this topic, as you can tell. But before I do that, a couple of things. I just want to let you all know about an exciting new product that we have for a limited time over at Work It Daily. We get requests all the time. JT, will you review my resume? Will you review my cover letter? Will you look at my LinkedIn profile? And I think a lot of people don't realize that's what we do for a living at Work It Daily. And so we now have a package. We're a subscription normally. You pay a monthly fee. You can cancel at any time. But we're offering a package now where you can have your resume reviewed, your LinkedIn profile reviewed, and your cover letter reviewed, as well as 30 days in our program. It's a one-time fee, no subscription. You pay one time. You get to work with our coaches on your materials and be a part of our program for 30 days so that you can really get your job search, career change, whatever you're trying to make happen in jumpstart mode, like hyper mode. And that is available now. So click the link if you want to learn more about this one-time special purchase. Like I said, we're not going to keep this up all the time, but given everything that's going on and the big request for it, we wanted to make it available. So limited time only. Grab yours now while you can. Okay. Excellent. All right. So I want to get down to the business of talking about the 24 megatrends. I love this. It's just so exciting to me. People have said, JT, you have a lot of energy right now. What's going on? And it's because I can see what's going to happen. This isn't something that I'm making up. This information that you're going to see here today comes from years of looking at trends post-crisis situations. And I think as we go through these trends together, a lot of these you're going to go, that makes complete sense. So here's my advice to you. As we go through each and every one of these today, I want you to think about your own job, your own career, your own life, and if it is impacted or will be impacted by one of these trends in some way. And you should almost make a little note, so maybe grab a pen and or paper, because after this session, I want you to start to connect the dots. I want you to be a future thinker and say, based on these trends, what was really interesting to me? And don't worry, I'm going to give you some questions at the end to do. But this homework assignment is going to get you starting to think like a futurist. And this is where you can start to plan out and identify the opportunities and take advantage of them before anyone else. Okay? All right. So there you go. So let's start with this. First of all, I'm going to set the tone that a lot of people are familiar with something called the 5 stages of grief. And we are all losing something in this pandemic and financial crisis. There isn't a single person that isn't going through something of a loss. It's that simple. And so it's very well known. This is the Kubler-Ross stages of grief, that you will work through these stages of denial, then anger, then bargaining, then depression, then acceptance, right? So let's say, for example, you lose your job. At first you lose your job and go, okay, it's all right. It's going to be okay. I can do this. It's no big deal. I'll just put my resume together. It's going to be fine. Then eventually it starts to set in, well, this is hard. And this is not good. And this isn't fair. And why me? And, why is life happening to me this way? And, why didn't other people get fired or laid off or whatever it is, right? So you go through anger. Then you move into bargaining. Okay, it is what it is. I'll do anything. Just tell me what to do to get a job. Just tell me what to do to get out of this pain. I really want to move past it. But then when that doesn't happen quickly, we fall into oh my gosh, this is all my fault. I'm such a bad person. This is because of me. I deserve this. And that's the depression phase. And then finally we get past that and go, you know what? I can't change what happened. It is what it is. It's time to move forward. I've got to figure out my way forward. And the sooner I do that, the happier I'm going to be, right? So that's a classic example of somebody going through the stages of grief. What a lot of people don't realize is that after something like this, You will have people that you hear about something like post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's actually a very specific thing. A lot of people say anytime they've had a sort of an apocalyptic event in their lives, oh, I've got PSTD. But it actually happens to very specific types of people. But one thing we know about that type of stress or, disorder, depression, is that a person feels very lonely. They feel like they're the only one going through it. And that's a challenge. But here's something interesting. In a pandemic, in a crisis, we actually will likely see post-traumatic growth. Not as much. I mean, certainly there will be some PSTD, but for a much greater part of the population, we will see something called post-traumatic growth. And if you look that up and learn about it, what happens is the trauma happens to everyone. Everyone's affected in some way. So you're not thinking it's the only happening to you and you're the only one and you're feeling that loneliness. It's happening collectively. We're experiencing it. So people's guards are let down. They're more open. They're more caring. Think about it. Have you noticed now you're always asking people, how are you? How's your family? And at the end of conversations, you're saying, stay safe, stay healthy. We weren't doing that 6 weeks ago. But collectively as a society, we are. And that gives us a glimpse into the fact that these trends that I'm going to reveal to you will very familiarly work through the stages of grief collectively as a society and lead to this incredible post-traumatic growth. So if you stick with me on this, you'll see why I feel like there are so many opportunities ahead of us, because everyone's going to be able to take a look at themselves and say, things have changed and there are some things I never want to go back to again. There are habits that I want to let go. There are parts of my lives, there are goals or dreams, whatever. I'm going to let them all go. It's all changed and I'm going to build a new blueprint. I'm going to build a new roadmap and I'm going to go at it differently. And I guess that is why when you see me on these sessions, I'm so inspired because I know it's coming. And so let's look at these trends because there's 24 of them that you should be thinking about as we work through these stages of grief together and come out on the other side stronger. All right. So how did I come up with this? Where did I get 24 trends? Well, there's actually 4 main trends. So think of them like subject trends, and then 6 sub trends underneath these main topic trends. So that's where 4 main trends times 6 sub trends comes up with 24 megatrends. And I call them megatrends because as you go through them, I'm pretty sure you're going to recognize all of them, which means they're very visible and they're very popular. So let's talk about the main trend number 1 called escapism. Now, escapism is very simple. When we're in a stressful situation, we want to distract ourselves from it. So if you think about the stages of grief, this would be the denial stage, right? The denial and the anger stage, right? We're not really taking action. We're just trying to cope. We're just trying to work our head, wrap our head around it, work through the emotions of it. So certain things become very popular in escapism. And if you've spent any time on social media, especially TikTok, then you've seen a lot of humor around things like this. So first of all, drinking, alcohol consumption goes up. Escapism, right? Cocktails. Drugs too, right? Recreational use of drugs. If that's their choice, then that becomes an area of distraction, right? Social media, screen time. Lots of people talking about finding themselves lost for hours on end scrolling through social media these days because they have the time and they just want to escape from their current reality and they don't want to watch the news anymore. Food. And by that, I mean, junk food, the kinds of foods that, those treats, those sinful things that, you shouldn't be eating every single day or 3 meals a day, but boy, they taste really good. You get the dopamine rush from that favorite food. Dating, relationships, you know what I'm talking about. That becomes very popular. I've heard there's a massive surge of people on dating apps right now, messaging one another because they can't head out to the bar to meet somebody. So they're doing it on the apps. And then the 6th one is bargain shopping, or what we call the little luxuries. So this is where people just, get the dopamine hit from buying something, but they know they can't spend a lot of money right now because everything's so uncertain. One example I was giving was a site that I saw a lot of young women are purchasing from. It's called Miss A, and everything on it's $1. And it's makeup and beauty products. So again, think about that escapism, right? And they're showing on videos how they've bought, say, $35 worth of stuff, and this Amazon package shows up and they rip it open and they take you through the unboxing of these 35 different items that they bought. So it's things like that, right? That again, that dopamine hit. So everything in escapism is designed to distract you and to just make you not have to face your reality. So a lot of this going on right now, a lot of it. And I mean, and there's no judgment here. It is what it is. Escapism is a normal practice and it's part of getting through it. So, again, don't be judgmental of other people, but understand there's a reason beverage sales are surging and lots of people are doing takeout from their local areas, right? In social media, all the things that I mentioned. So very, very popular megatrends. These will continue quite heavily over the next year. All right, next one. So this is a cool one, nesting. So nesting is that idea of creating comfort, right? So now we want to create comfort and feel better as we work through that. So with nesting, you're doing things to create the physical presence that feels better. So gardening, right? People want to grow vegetables and flowers and see something beautiful and be able to say they made it themselves. Cooking, different from food in the first one, actual cooking, right? Putting a meal together, crafting something tasty and delicious all on your own, figuring out those recipes, that sort of thing. We're seeing a lot of baking right now. I'm a huge baker. My family and we make a lot of bread. And we can't get yeast. All of a sudden, the entire community is now buying flour and yeast, and it's hard to come by, right? So cooking, decorating and crafting. People want to make their homes. They're looking around. They're in their homes more than they've ever been before. Their apartments, their bedrooms, and they're saying, ooh, this thing needs a facelift. So what can I do to make it look better? Organizing, lots of people decluttering right now. I can't look at the clutter anymore. I want everything to be clean and I want a peaceful sight line. So let me organize my drawers and my closets in my home. DIY and home remodel. So this is the time where people say, okay, let's paint. Let's knock that wall down. Let's build that she shed. Now's the time to add value to our place and create something new. And then the last thing in nesting is small gathering entertaining. So you know that we can't do big groups anymore, but having 4 or 5 people come together for an intimate experience where, think about this, you bring them over so they can see your garden, they can taste your cooking, they can admire your decorating, you can show off your organizational skills, you can introduce them to your new she shed, and you can entertain them in the she shed. Right. So again, it's intimate. It's at home. It's not going out to eat at an expensive restaurant. It's still following that protocol. So nesting becomes a huge part of the post-crisis repertoire, if you will, and there'll be a lot of opportunities. Now, I want to prove this to you. For those of you that were around for 2008 and the recession, one of the things that really blew up in that time, the Home and Garden channel, the cooking channel, DIY crafting channels, remodeling channels, right? Entertainment shows. Think about that. All of those things became huge. That was their launching point when nesting became a big part of post 2008. So I know this to be true, and it's only going to get bigger. All right, let's look at megatrends in the economizing sector. So it shouldn't surprise you at all, right? That a lot of people are going to be thinking about how to save money and just how to approach their expenses completely differently so that they don't, feel beholden, or they can avoid debt as much as possible or get out of debt if they're in debt now, right? So all of a sudden, when you're in a low unemployment and times are good, like they were just literally a couple months ago, there's a lot more of flashiness going on, a lot more luxury spending, a lot more, candidly, waste of money because people are busy and they're time crunched and they justify it, right? Now that's totally changed. So here are some trends you're going to see that'll become hugely popular. Thrifting. So specifically in the clothing area, sites like I'm trying to think of some of the secondhand sites like Thread Up, for example, or even going to say Salvation Army. There's so many trends now with people thrifting and doing secondhand shops, custom secondhand shops. All of that will become super popular. Couponing. There is a gal on TikTok that is all about couponing and talking about couponing deals and how she's built this huge stash thanks to couponing. And she shows you how little she spends when she goes to the store. Couponing is going to be huge. It's going to be a mega surge. Everyone's going to get back into that. One of the beautiful things about the economizing sector is that before, people might be embarrassed about being thrifty in good economic times. Well, why are you having to penny pinch? Now it will look suspect if you don't, right? I mean, everyone should be doing things to economize. So again, couponing will be huge and totally acceptable. So will bartering. Bartering's making a comeback, folks. I'll trade you this for this. What do you have for sale? You're going to see sites start to offer barter options or ways to trade and bank in order to buy something that you want. It's going to become very, very normal. Think about like Facebook Marketplace, for example, and people selling things that way as well. It's just the possibilities are endless. Secondhand selling. Again, that Facebook Marketplace, there's a company called Mercari, I think I've seen. Lots of these companies where you can sell your stuff that you don't need anymore. That's going to become popular. Hobby careers and side hustles. So one of the things that comes out of this is usually a passion economy. Lots of people are going to say, how can I take my hobby, the thing that I like to do, things that I do in my spare time? What are some things that I can do part-time? People will take part-time jobs because they want them. They just want to earn that extra income, and it's totally normal to do so. So lots of people taking side hustles, part-time gigs, and turning passions and hobbies into earning opportunities. And then lastly, financial simplification and literacy. So we're going to see a huge uptick in people wanting to understand finances better. In fact, I recommended this to all our Work It Daily members, and I'll make sure that our team sends it out. There's an incredible 30-minute video by Ray Dalio. He wrote a book called Principles, and for many years, he's been a financial expert running funds and knows a lot, and he predicted the 2008 crisis. He just really understands this stuff. It's a 30-minute video, and it's a cartoon on how the economy works. If you go look it up on YouTube, you'll find it. It is so well done, and it really helps you understand our economy, especially the last 10 minutes where he talks about a depression. And he says, look, we have these mega events where the economy has to course correct every 75 to 100 years. How interesting, right? And we have to go through something called deleveraging. And deleveraging, there are 4 main ways that we deleverage. And he walks you through those 4. And that level of financial literacy will help so many people. So if this is of interest to you, make sure you go check it out. But you're going to see a lot more people wanting to understand how finances work, how investments work, and things like that, so that they don't ever go through this again. That's always a big outcome from a post-crisis in the economizing category. Okay. All right. So now we're down to our 4th and final overarching trend and 6 sub-trends: personal growth. What did I lead off with? I talked about post-traumatic growth. As we work through the phases of grief and we come out on the other side, these 6 areas, you are going to see transformations. What happens is that people step back and look at their lives and say, what part of my life is not serving me, and I'm done. I'm ready for something different. They procrastinated, they put it off. They didn't, they just said, I'll get to it another day. Well, today's the day. This is the moment. So you're going to see a lot of people reinvent their careers. They're going to walk away from their careers and say, I want something totally different. I want to be an underwater basket weaver. I don't want to be an accountant anymore. And they're going to be totally okay with it because guess what? Everybody else is changing. It becomes acceptable, right? Physical self, fitness. Lots of people are going to decide it's time to get uber healthy. You're going to see a big trend with that as well. Mental self. Anybody that has been maybe secretly dealing with depression or anxiety or insecurity is going to hit their tipping point here and say, enough. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I want to get better. I want to figure out how to be mentally stronger. So you'll see a big uptick there too with mindfulness and meditation, that sort of thing. Family. Whether it's your significant other or your immediate family, your immediate members, you're going to see families decide that they want to get stronger. I mean, they're obviously being put to the test right now as they go through this, but they'll really think closely, like, what do I want in a family relationship? What do I want this to look like post-crisis? Friendships. Everyone's going to reevaluate friendships right now. Do I, all those people that were so toxic in my life that I thought I had to see or had to keep in my life that are now not in my life and I seem to be thriving, how am I going to make sure they never come back? Right? What am I going to do differently? Where can I make new friends? Post-crisis, where do I go find the people that are truly my people, that have interests like mine? So think of all the interest groups and things that'll come out of this when people want to make new friends as a result of this and get out and socialize again. And lastly, hobbies and recreation. Lots of people are going to say, now that I have more time, how can I fill it besides work and some of my other obligations? What can I do to feed my soul? What are the things that I care about that I can, turn into a hobby and have more fun in life and bring more joy to my life, because it's up to me to do so. So you're going to see personal growth in all of these areas. These are the 24 megatrends. And again, there is evidence to show after every major crisis event that these things follow suit and that people partake in one or more, maybe even all of them for that matter. All right. So I said to you, and I'm going to take questions in a minute, but I promised you at the end, I was going to say, how can you use this information to pivot your career in a new direction, pivot your life in a new direction? We're all about career here at Work It Daily. That's what we do. But honestly, you could apply any area of your life to this. How do you take advantage of it? I've got 3 tips for you. So tip number 1, after today's session, ask yourself, what area of your life has changed the most due to the crisis? What has changed the most? What is so different than the way you did it before, right? For example, for me, and I bet this is for a lot of people, working from home, right? So I run a company and we have an office. And all of a sudden, I am full-time working from home. I haven't done that since my children were little and I was starting the company out of a table in my house. So this is very, very different for me. Tip number 2, what things have you eliminated that don't need to come back? So walk yourself through your pre-crisis day or week and walk yourself through your post-crisis day or week. Things like your commute or certain events you used to have to go to, things that you had to do. What's been cleared out of your schedule and you're saying, yeah, I don't need that back. I'm good without that. Lots of people, I've talked to people, for example, who always were religious about going to the gym, but now they're addicted to the Peloton app because Peloton isn't just bikes and treadmills, right? So you never know what will change and you may not want back when it's over. Lots of people, by the way, are saying now that they're working from home, they don't want to go back. A lot of people are really liking working from home. They're saying, I'm getting more done in less time. I can concentrate. I don't have to drive. I'm saving money. A lot of interesting perspective there. And then tip number 3, which of these areas most interests and excites you? So again, go back through the 24 areas that I articulated, and you want to circle the ones that you go, oh, yeah. Oh, that sounds exciting to me. When you have an emotional reaction to a megatrend, you want to dig in deep and find out why. Why is that piquing your interest? And it has to do with something going on in your life. It's your life telling you that, hey, that's the area that you need to focus on and think about. There's just so much opportunity coming that why not pick the one that seems to speak to you and really, think about that. How could that play out? What could you do differently? How can I make that happen? Be really intentional about that. My final thought is use this opportunity to redefine success and satisfaction on your own terms. And folks, this is where I'm going to tell you the whole reason I started Work It Daily was that I was tired of watching people define success and satisfaction by what other people thought. We spend way too much time worrying about what people think, right? For many of us, we define what success and satisfaction looks like based on what society told us it is. And none of us are the same. We're all unique. So now is your opportunity to say, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my career to look like? My finances, my relationships, and how can I do it differently? This is a wake-up call. This is the world telling you to do something differently. So what's it going to be? What's going to be your post-traumatic growth moment? I hope every single person listening today is saying, yeah, I'm going to be on that side with JT. I'm going to have a post-traumatic growth moment. Because if we have a lot of people do that, think about how much better we're going to be as a society. Think about how much happier we're going to be when everybody's happier as a result of this. Again, that's what happens, but only if you pay attention to the trends and you partake, like we talked about today, and you really do some deep thinking and commit to saying, I want to make an area of my life better. Okay? Awesome. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. We will make sure, the recording will be up. You'll be able to come back and check out the megatrends. We'll probably have to put together some sort of PDF. We're working on a graphic, so stay tuned. You'll see more on this and you can come back with it. But now I want to take some questions. I hope I've got some good questions on this topic. Thrilled to have you all here. Okay, so let's see. First question. My friend was recently demoted. Romantic office relationship went sour and caused drama, and he wants to leave. How can I acknowledge his feelings, but also help him find a new job ASAP? So, well, you know what? It's okay to acknowledge his feelings. And, one thing I would say is never feel sorry for anyone, right? Person made some choices and it didn't pan out. This could have very easily gone the other way. It could have ended up being the love of his life. It all worked out happily ever after, but it didn't. So it's a set of choices. Own it. It is what it is. And I would just say, I can appreciate your frustration, right? But I wouldn't say, I'm sorry that happened to you, because really what you want to say is, how can you learn and grow from it? And now you've learned something for next time. As far as finding a job ASAP, that's on him. That's not on you. One of the things I learned very early on in my career coaching career is you can't do it for them. All you can do is, there's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So don't try to do this for him because he's just going to dig his heels in. When he's ready, point him in the direction of resources. Tell him that, hey, he needs to get going, but he's going to have to do it for himself because he'll resent you. And the more you push, you'll resent him. So not a lot you can do there except say, hey, it is a tough break, but you got this. One of the things I like to do with people like that is say to them, I believe in you. I believe in you. I know you can do this. It's too bad it happened, but you're strong. You're tough. I believe in you. Here are your 10 strengths. Go make it happen. That's how I would approach it. All right. Natasha says, what if you keep going back and forth between the stages instead of completing one and transitioning to the next stage? That's actually very normal. So Natasha's talking about the stages of grief. We don't pass through the door, never to go back again. So you can vacillate between denial and anger, then anger and bargaining, depression, and acceptance. It totally happens. All I can tell you is that when you slide backwards, the good news is you know what it's like when you move forwards. So you want to get back to that place. You want to move through to that place. And understanding and recognizing it's half the battle. That's why I'm talking about this and making sure everybody labels what they're feeling. Because if you understand there are stages, then you can diagnose where you are and say, oh, I don't want to stay here. So I've got to make an effort to get out, right? I've got to take ownership and do some things to help me get out. And all I can tell you is that moving through the stages requires information and resources. So get curious, look for new information, new resources, and stay positive. Put yourself on a negativity diet. Eliminate as much negativity as you can, if not all of it, from your life. Negative people, negative TV, negative social media, and replace it with positive. Find the most positive people you can find, follow them on social media, listen to their podcasts, read their books. Your brain is going to need as much positive nourishment as it possibly can in order to make you work through those issues. Okay. Let's see. Joe says, I was out of work before COVID-19. I am really at an all-time low. Any thoughts? Yes, Joe. So first of all, Joe, now you know you're not alone. And one of the cool things is that no one's going to judge that you were out of work before COVID-19 because COVID-19 was the great equalizer. What you need to be doing is thinking about what's my area of expertise and how am I going to build up that right now? What could I do? So if I were you, I would try to figure out a way to do something pro bono. So find somebody, a business, whoever, and say, I would love to do a project for you for free. I would love to do an assignment for you for free. It's a one-time thing, but I know a lot of companies are hurting right now and they need help. Here's one thing I could do for you, especially as it relates to whatever your field of expertise is. And I push a lot of people to do this and they say, JT, I don't want to give my stuff away. You're not giving it away. You're educating somebody on what it's like to work with you. You're teaching somebody your value. And not everyone is going to then want to hire you on the spot. But if you were to say, okay, I'm going to go pick 10 companies and I'm going to give each of them one assignment for free, do one task for free. Who knows? You don't need all 10 of them to decide that they want to hire you. But once they start to get to know you and see your value, they might ask you to do the next one as a paid engagement. Because at that point you could say, hey, it was a one-time situation. If you want me to work again, you got to pay me, right? So how we look at work and how we get hired is going to dramatically change as a result of post-COVID. And the people that are willing to go out there and give away a little bit of their resources as a way to show their credibility are the ones that will land work faster. Gwen says, I'm pivoting into a new field, going from sales and marketing to web development and coding. Great. I have years of experience, but not in my new industry. How do I reconstruct my resume so that I can best position myself to get a job in my chosen field? So there's not a lot you can do to reconstruct your resume. And this is a big misnomer. And let me tell you, if there's any resume writer out there that's telling you, give me $1,000 and I'll make you look great, that's a scam. And I'm really adamant about that because there's a lot of that going on right now and it frustrates me to no end. There is only so much you can do to a resume. A resume is fact-based. We can't make facts up and we can't hide facts. Now, one technique you can use is knowing how to properly outline your top fold of your resume. So the top fold of your resume is the top third of your resume, and it is the first thing they see when they open up the document. What you can do there is brand yourself for the industry that you're looking to go into. That is totally appropriate and possible to do. And so you're going to put in things like a headline, key skill sets, education, certifications, things that are relevant to where you're headed. After that, your work history and the rest of it stays exactly the same. It is what it is. It's fact-based. And if you need help with that, I strongly encourage you to go over and check out Work It Daily. Like I said, we have a one-time review process right now. You could have that resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile reviewed for your new chosen field, and you would be able to see what I'm talking about in terms of revamping that top fold. But the thing is, passing your resume in now for jobs where you don't have the experience, you're going to get tossed. So no one should tell you that your resume is going to get you hired. You need a resume, but the way you're going to break into a new industry is not going to be through online applications, because at this point, thousands of people are going to be applying for the same jobs and many of them will have the experience, and an employer is naturally going to hire the person with the experience. So how do you break in? Exactly what I was talking about earlier. First of all, if I were you, I'd start doing some pro bono work right now. I would absolutely go find 5 companies you adore, maybe local businesses, and say, I will do an assignment for you for free in exchange for a reference. So let's get some experience on that resume that you can legitimately add. Absolutely great way to do it. That way you can start to build experience, but then you'll be able to reach out to organizations, go around the application process, and learn to write something called a disruptive cover letter. So a disruptive cover letter is where you tell the story to help them understand you get them. That what you lack in experience, you make up for in passion and connection to the company's mission, to the work, etc. So it's about storytelling. So anytime you're making a career pivot like you are, 1, you've got to have the top fold of the resume branded correctly. 2, you've got to think about pro bono opportunities as a way to get references and earn credibility. And 3, you have got to build a disruptive cover letter and go around the online hiring process, because applying online is not going to get you anywhere, especially post-COVID-19. Okay? And if you need tips on that, you know where to find us. Julie says, how can you respond to compensation being offered with the caveat, will you take less before there is a formal offer? So first of all, I think the question you have to ask yourself is, what are you willing to take? And at this point, I hope everybody's reevaluating what that number is because of COVID-19. There are going to be so many people available that companies will be able to name their price. I think that's really, really important. What I would do in this situation is say, what do you think is appropriate? Why don't you make me an offer and let me look it over? Because, there's benefits and other things to consider. But if you have a walkaway rate, I think it is important to tell them that and say, look, I honestly physically could not take less than X. Right? But let me know what you're willing to take. I was hoping for something more along the lines of Y. So you'd have a nice broad range. Like, this is my lowest I could go. I couldn't take any lower. This is what I was hoping for, but I'm looking for something in between. Was that in your ballpark? Because to skirt the issue and to dance around it, it frustrates them. And if they say, well, no, we really needed to pay less than that. And you can say, okay, I might be willing to take that less. Can we talk about working into the contract that I'll take the pay rate you're offering? But in 6 months, we'll have a review, because if things have changed and you've seen my work and we know that I'm, exceeding expectations and justifying my cost, would you be able to then agree to give me a raise in 6 months instead of waiting for a year? So there are ways to work around that. You could even say, look, I'll take it now, but things are going to be very different in 4 months after COVID. So in my contract, can we have a 160-day review and consider a raise then? So there's lots of ways to work around that right now, folks, to be flexible. And that's what I would do. Emma says, how to get a job straight out of college with limited experience. Recruiters keep telling me they're looking for somebody more seasoned, even though I do have some experience and it's entry level. Yeah, Emma, it's going to be a tough time coming out of college right now. I know a lot of people are going to be struggling. You are a beautiful candidate for pro bono work. I'll be perfectly honest. Whatever your area of expertise is, I would find 10 people that work in the industry that you want to be in on LinkedIn right now. I would reach out to them and ask them to connect. I would ask them if you could do an informational interview to learn more about how they got into the field and what they think it's going to take for grads to get hired. And then at the end of that informational interview, I would tell them, you know what, I'm a fan and I would love to do a pro bono piece. Is there something I could work on for free for you? One assignment for free. I am telling you folks, now is the time to do it. You got nothing better. It's a working education. And once a company understands what it's like to work with you, it's much easier for them to find the funds to hire you. So that's what I would be doing on that front for sure. Katharina says, what about obtaining certificates to wake up your profile, free courses on Harvard? Yeah, I mean, certifications are always great. They're great for your brain. They get you thinking. If you're in a group course situation, you're meeting other people. Lots of people are doing it. So as far as it absolutely differentiating your resume, it will not. Plus, certifications do not replace practical work experience. So good to have and could create great talking points for you in interviews and things like that and open up really interesting discussions. But I wouldn't overestimate the ability it would have to make your resume more desirable. It's not really going to impact in that way. Do you see companies hiring post this crisis? Yes, but not nearly for the amount of jobs they did before. So this is something people just need to understand and why I want them thinking about the megatrends and opportunities to pivot and change careers. If you watch that video I talked about, Ray Dalio's video, you'll understand that most of the companies, when they can go back to hiring, if they've laid off or furloughed employees, will not bring all the employees back. All companies will contract. They will want to be smaller companies. They will take themselves down to the size that they're profitable and start to try to get themselves out of debt so that they can stabilize. So no company is going back to the size that it was. If it laid off and if it got smaller as a result of COVID, it will be smaller. They'll hire some back. Some people will come back, but not nearly, not the entire staff. It just won't happen. So, and that will go on for some time. That'll go on for at least 4 to 6 months because those companies will need months to stabilize and figure out what their revenue streams look like, what kind of money are they going to start to make back. When they start to see stability and growing pains, meaning they need more help, they will hire contract workers. So if you are not already registered with a staffing agency, if you're between jobs right now, or I would totally find the right agency in your area that puts people out on contract for your skill set. Because contract work goes through the roof. Companies will hire independent contractors or they'll hire temporaries who, if you're a temporary worker, you're actually a W-2 worker, you're an employee of an agency and they deploy you on assignment. This will become popular because companies don't want to take on the burden of full-time employees until they're sure they need them. So this will become very, very big. So you'll see that come like the fall. And then in the fall and through, and then probably by next year, we'll start to see legitimate hiring picking up again. So you got to know your niche. You got to know what industry you want to be in. You have to know what your skill sets are. You have to know what companies hire for your skill sets and you want to work for. And you need to network like crazy right now. Before this crisis, 85% of jobs were gotten via some form of referral. It's going to get even higher after this. It's going to be who you know, folks. So that doesn't mean that you have to have your best friend working at a company. It means you have to know how to network and connect and present yourself so that you can get to the right person in the organization for those opportunities. The other thing I will tell you is that when hiring starts up again, it will not be on mega job boards. They won't be posting jobs on Indeed, not even here on LinkedIn or on Glassdoor. They will post them on their company websites. And the reason for that is that companies want to hire people that are passionate about them and have been following them, and they want to limit the amount of applicants they get. They go post on something like Indeed, they'll get thousands of applicants in a matter of hours, and they can't physically go through them all. So they're going to post them on their websites and tell internally, say, hey, everybody at the company, we're finally hiring for a position. Here it is. It's on our company website. Let your friends and family know. And boom, they'll get hundreds of applicants. So you need to know what companies you want to work for, and you need to start setting up alerts and visiting their websites on a daily basis. Very important that we do that. Can you show us how to do an informational interview? You know what, Katharina? I think that should be a subject for another day. You all know that we broadcast live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I will work with the team and we will do an entire session. I love that you asked that question on informational interviews, most definitely. We can do that for sure. Listen, folks, I want to take a moment to do a little public service announcement. I mentioned it at the beginning, but I want to mention it again for a very limited time only. People are always asking about having their resume looked at, their cover letter, their LinkedIn profile. My company is offering that service on 2 levels. You can, for one-time fee, you will get your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile reviewed by our career coaching team and 1 month in our professional program. It's only $39.99. So check that out. You'll have a whole month in our program, all of our tutorials. We have 15 courses, 200 hours. We have events all week long where you can meet community members. You can work with the coaches on an unlimited basis. You get your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile reviewed. They video record and tell you what to change and fix, and then give you tutorials so that you can do that. And then you resubmit until everything's perfect. It's an amazing experience. And it's $39.99. For executives out there or for individuals that actually want to work with me, for a very limited time, we're offering another level, and that's $89.99. And that puts you in our executive program. And again, you get a month in the program, access to the tools and resources. We'll get your resume, your cover letter, and your LinkedIn profile reviewed by myself. That's the more expensive one. And then again, you're in our program for a month, and this is one time only. So we're normally a subscription company. You can cancel at any time on our subscription, but if you're looking for a one-time fee, a one-time situation, this is it. And again, we won't have this up forever. We're just doing it right now due to request. So there you go. All right, back to questions. Joe says, is now a good time to start a business? Well, you're speaking to somebody that started one in 2008. So I'm going to say, heck yeah, Joe. Most people won't have the stomach for it. Most people won't want to start businesses right now. You're not going to be able to do a capital intense investment. So everything that starts now will be startups that are bootstrapped. And bootstrap simply means sweat equity and whatever money you can put into it. But yes, there will be a lot of people who will come out of this going, I see the opportunity. I gave you 24 megatrends today. Somewhere in there are business ideas galore. And what I would say is start as a hobby career or a side hustle. See if the business has viable, if it's a viable product, if you can make money, and run from there. But like literally billion-dollar businesses come out of things like this. Story after story of companies that come out of post-crisis situations that become huge, huge companies. That's what everybody in business is talking about. So if you have the stomach to start a business, if you have the passion to start a business, and you're ready to put in some sweat equity, which why not, right? I would definitely say go for it, as speaking from experience. Jean says, how can I update my profile to indicate I'm not willing to work a contract position and only looking for full-time employment? I keep getting calls from recruiters from out of state. Also, how can I cut down the calls for out-of-state positions? So that's interesting, Jean. I'm surprised that you're getting out-of-state calls given everything that's going on and contract. First of all, inside LinkedIn, on the backside of the profile in the privacy settings, there's a setting that says open to recruiters. And if you turn that on, it tells recruiters, hey, you're open to opportunities. In that, there's a little space where you can write a message. It's not public on your profile, but it's where you tell recruiters what you're looking for. In there is where I would say, I am not looking to relocate. I'm only looking for jobs in this area. And I am not willing to work contract. I am only looking for full-time opportunities. So that's where I would put that. It doesn't have to be public. You could put it public on the about section of your LinkedIn profile if that's really important to you too. You could do an asterisk at the top there and say, not willing to relocate and only looking for full-time opportunities. And that'll cut it down dramatically. It really will. So, but I would definitely put it on the back end, because the way recruiters search on LinkedIn, it brings up a different set of data. It doesn't just bring up your profile, and it indicates to them. And so that would be one way to do that. Randy says, are there certain types or sizes of organizations more receptive to pro bono engagements? That's a great question, Randy. It depends on how much information and training they would need to give you in order for you to do the assignment. So it's less about the industry or the type of business, and it's more about the actual type of project. You're going to do best if it's something that would require very little instruction or time on their end for you to be able to do it. So you want to think about that. And certainly if it would require, obviously it's going to require something, you might put together, say, a checklist or a questionnaire and say, look, this is the project I can do for you. Here's the 2-page questionnaire you would need to fill out for me to be able to complete it. So the goal would be to make it as easy as possible for them to give you what you need in order to do the project. So choose the project wisely and make it as simple as possible for them. Christina says, do you have a course on how to network correctly? Oh, yes. Yes, we do, Christina. There's an entire course in there, all on networking. It's a big part of what we do. There's a salary negotiation course. There's a job search course. There's a personal branding course. There's a resume course, a LinkedIn course, a cover letter course, informational interviewing, an interview prep course, you name it. We're just in the middle of finalizing how to get unstuck in your job search. That's a course. A lot of tools and resources in our platform. Awesome. All right, gang. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the Megatrends. I hope it got you thinking. Again, what I want you to take away from this is it's up to you, but there's going to be a lot of opportunity for post-traumatic growth. So make the decision that you are going to be one of those people, okay? Start thinking about it because it's our future and you can make it what you want to. This is the great level set. This is the time. Get excited. I really enjoyed being with you, and I just want to thank you all. It's such an honor and a privilege to be with you twice a week. Thank you for stopping by on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Tell a friend, come hang with me again next week. And again, questions, comments, feedback, and ideas for future episodes. Again, shout out to Katharina for coming up with that idea for informational interviews. What else do you want to hear? Tell us what we need to do for you, okay? All right, everyone. Thank you again. Take care, and I hope I see you soon. Don't forget, one-time option. Come get your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile reviewed, okay? We'll show you the power of Work It Daily. Ciao, everyone.